Hey everyone, what's up and welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Liz, your host here at Crimes Untold. I know, a long time. Yeah. So here on this channel, I talk about true crime, all the stuffs. Today we're going to be talking about an update in a case that I covered probably like 2 years ago. Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago. We're going to talk about the I Can't Believe It's Yogurt murders, or the yogurt shop murders of 1991, which are as old as I am. I was 7 months old when this happened. Yeah. So let's get into today's video, shall we? So right before midnight on Friday, December 6th of 1991, there was a patrolman from the Austin Police Department that noticed there was fire coming from the I Can't Believe It's Yogurt shop. He then reported it to the dispatch. The fire was extinguished, and this is when they discovered the 4 nude bodies of four teenage girls. So there was the sisters, the Harbison sisters, yes. Amy, Eliza, Jennifer, and Sarah. Amy Ayers, who was 13, Eliza Thomas, who was 17, Jennifer Harbison, who was 17, and Sarah Harbison, who was 15. So it was pretty tragic, very tragic. Since I already talked about this crime in a previous video, I'm just going to link it in a card above. You can click on it and you can go to the original video. I probably sound like crap and people are probably going to complain about how I'm very breathy, post-COVID complication. You're welcome. I also have some autoimmune issue going on. That's why I haven't been very present here on this channel. I've been more present on my lifestyle channel. But anywho, besides the point, it was literally just something that was announced. I can give you the specific day if you really want it. The absolute specific day, because it literally just happened on September 26th, 2025. 2 days ago. It was announced that Robert Eugene Brashers, who is deceased, was identified via DNA that was found at the crime scene using YSTR DNA. And this was developed using one of the vaginal swabs from one of the victims. They didn't say who, and that the profile of the actual DNA was a match to Robert Brashers. Yeah, so like I said, Robert Brashers is deceased. He died in 1999 after he committed suicide while he was in a standoff with police. We can talk about him a little bit if you want to, if you really, really want to. He was 40 years old at the time of his death, and he died in Kennett, Missouri. He's got a nice rap sheet from Florida and Georgia. Grand theft auto, impersonating a police officer, attempted first-degree murder, aggravated battery, that's yummy, using a firearm during the commission of a crime. Yeah. He has 7+ victims, and his span of crimes lasted between 1990 and 1998. So if he did like his full string of crimes, it was 1990 to 1998, but he also was apprehended in 1986 to 1989 and then 92 to 97. So he wasn't just connected to this crime. Back in 2018, he was also connected to 3 murders. He's suspected in 3 murders and several rapes dating back to 1990. And let's see, there was a motion to exhume his remains to have additional testing done. Now, on September 27th of 2018, this is when his remains were exhumed from the cemetery he's buried in Paragould, Arkansas, and his DNA was then extracted from his bones. Now, through this DNA extraction, it revealed that his genetics were a perfect match for the murder of Genevieve Zetricki, who's 28 years old. She was strangled, raped, and bludgeoned to death with pantyhose in Greenville, South Carolina, and this was back on April 5th of 1990. At the time of this murder, it was thought that after whoever killed her murdered her in her bedroom and then dragged her to the bathtub and then submerged her body. They also then wrote, "Don't F with my family" on the mirror. There was a DNA sample that belonged to the perp that was isolated in 1995, so 5 years after the actual murder occurred. Then it was uploaded to CODIS. Obviously, at that time, genetics wasn't really a thing. It's really a really awesome advancement in science and technology that we have now. That's really great for us because we've been able to identify all these John Does, Jane Does, and all these perpetrators and all of these unsolved crimes. So go over some more, shall we? He also was tied to the rape of a 14-year-old girl in Memphis, Tennessee. This happened on March 11th of 1997. This victim and 4 other people were inside of a home when he, Brashers, knocked on the door and forced his way into the residence. He tied up the occupants and then went on to sodomize this young girl. Like I mentioned, he's suspected to be responsible for the Austin Yogurt Shop murders of 1991. And this is because they connected him to the DNA that was found on one of the victims. His daughter, his biological daughter, Deborah, was also interviewed back in February of 2019. And she said she first saw her father in early 1997, right after he was released from prison, because he wasn't really present in her life when she was younger. And she said that he lived next to her, or for the next 2 years after he was released, he lived with her, her mom, and her half-sisters, because during that time, she saw that her dad was like severely aggressive towards them, and his behavior was weird. And her stepdad, her mom got remarried and had but besides the point, her dad, who we're talking about, Brashers, fought with her stepdad and then ended up causing an injury to her stepdad's head with a drill. Very disturbing. Her dad also made a tape recording himself making small cuts on his neck and on his arm using a saw, and this was all to just show how he could withstand pain. Deborah thought her mom knew about what her dad was doing. Her mom died in December of 2018, so this was a few months before this interview. She thought her mom knew about what her dad was doing because she would tell Deborah to call him by a different name and to keep him inside the house and to not let him outside of the house. So there was something happening Deborah wasn't aware of, and neither were her half-sisters, so something was just wrong. She also did claim that his mental health was extremely deteriorated in April of 1998. He did have a job at a construction site or a construction firm, and he ended up being absent from the house for weeks at a time, and he just would be missing. It is thought that during these times where he was gone, he was committing other murders and rapes as well. But that we don't know unless he is genetically tied to them. But yeah, that's the big update in the yogurt shop murders, that they believe that Robert Brashers is the one that is responsible for the murders. Given his history and what he was doing, kind of makes sense. Yeah. It could have been, too, that something happened to him while he was in the Army. He did serve, he enlisted in the Army, but he actually served in the Navy. Something could have happened to him, and not justifying that if you're a military person, something happens to you when you're in that line of work. But, Maisie, what are you doing? Sorry, my cat's in here with me. But, sometimes people that have a military background, something bad happens to them and they don't talk about it, and it makes them spiral in a way that you don't realize. First-hand experience with a lot of people in my family that have a military background. But anywho, that's besides the point. I hope you guys learned something from this, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye, everyone.